Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the first of what is just so much not a podcast if you're in South Africa, Khoianan, here in Ireland, Kehomila Fulcher. Oh, people said to me today and during the week, oh, it's another podcast. Oh, what's that? Oh, no. If a certain alcoholic drinks company did this, it would be so much more than just a podcast. This is an MSG Tours live online engagement event. Why are we doing it? Because it's the first of many. You'll be glad to hear that you'll only see Big Joe Shep probably tonight, because I'm going to introduce to you an array of stars. We have got that many guests lined up for you tonight. We've got more guests than a hungry lion could chase down on the savannah. And there we go. That's our link. It is the Road to South Africa 2021. I'm Big Joe Shep, your host for tonight. Yes, you all know me from the Three Bod Rugby group, and I've partnered up with MSG Tours and a whole pile of other really good people because I just love what they are doing. So, what is the MSG Lekker Lounge? Well, it's easy to say, isn't it? I should have had some Malbec before. It would have been easier for me to say even better. There we go. That's what happens when you turn up sober for a gig. Well, the lounge is, as you can see, there's a little window just to the side of my guest. The chief's in the office tonight. He's in the Lekker Lounge. And just through there, you'll get used to this lounge. This is our lounge till after a certain tour in South Africa in 2021 is finished. And through those windows there, you'll see some very famous South African mountains. You know what they are. It's absolutely fab. So this is our lounge. Why we got a lounge on? Because it's a safe zone for everybody to come. Because for those people who will be going on the supporters tour on the road to South Africa in 2021, some of us will be staying behind with dodgy legs, a wheezy chest, and a note from matron, and therefore we'll be in the lounge supporting everybody who's over there, so we'll all feel a part of it. So that's what it's about. Over the next 9 months, every single month, we will have tour managers, we'll have special guests. Oh, wait till the end of the show. If you think tonight's guest list is fantastic, wait till the end of the show to find out who's on next month. And then we have to surpass that the month after. This man in the studio with me right now has got this all planned and it's all going around. If you've got any questions tonight, please throw them up. It's all about the start to the tour, the Road to South Africa 2021. Please help me welcome the man who put all this together, the head of MSG Tours, Mr. Mark Gardner. Mark, how are you? I
am very, very well. See yourself?
Oh, mate, I'm so excited you could put a sort of pin a tail on me, mate, and bash me. It's exciting. It's really, really good, isn't it? You know, it's in the uncertainty of this world, I think one of the great things is that we're all looking forward to this. It's given us hope and something to look forward to in a very difficult time, mate. So thank you for putting this together, you and the team. And give us your initial thoughts, you know, when you first start doing all of this. How does it feel? What goes through your head?
Well, thankfully we've been doing it a long time, so we kind of know what we're doing. We know what's a great formula. We know what's a great trip. And even though the tour is taking place in 2021, that we've been working on this for 3 years solid, and for 2.5 years of that planning. We weren't dealing with a certain pandemic, which I'm going to try my best at refusing naming on this show because we're travel positive. And I'm holding here a wonderful globe of the world made. It's a jigsaw globe made from all of the members of our team about a year ago. It's one of those things that was a really nice sort of tranquil thing to do in your lunch break. Come and have a go. Of course, you can't do that anymore. You certainly can't put 10 people with hands on a globe trying to make this together. But I look at this and think, with what's going on right now, the Lions tour next year, where it's fallen in July and August, is going to be the first, I think, major event that is going to take place once we've gone through a difficult winter. We're hugely travel positive, and everyone in the team is just delighted about putting the hard work into action next summer.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself very briefly and MSG Tours. What makes you so, you are different, without a shadow of a doubt. So totally different. But what makes you different? What's the why? So you, MSG Tours, and why?
Well, we're 5 years old next week.
Wow.
Yeah, 5, and that has absolutely flown by. I've had a 20+ year travel career and worked for some just amazing brands, including working for TUI Travel PLC for 5 years, and that was just incredible, working with some of the best travel minds in the world. He was working for a PLC, working to an end of year result, and after a while, it just became about the numbers and the end financial result, and less about the experience. And 5 years ago, we sat down and thought, how can we do this in a disruptive way that offers absolute value, that has the true sports fan or the teacher or the student. This could be the only trip that a certain student or rugby player or netball player ever goes on in their life. So if it's the only trip they ever go on, they need to remember that for the rest of their lives. So the way that our recruitment works is that we find people that represent those values. And we're delighted to have such a strong team that has worked not just on the lines, but on everything for the past 5 years. And in the next couple of weeks, we've got 3 exceptional members of the team: Grace, Lucy, and Laura, who've been with us for 3 whole years out of the 5. We've got Liam, who's been with us for 4 years in January out of the 5. And to design a business and deliver continually, you've got to have the best staff, and we're just absolutely blown away by the quality of personnel that we've got in the business. So they put it together, they travel, they work on the bits that weren't absolutely perfect, and they make the next one even better, and that's where we are right now.
Brilliant. And you partner up with lots of exciting partner companies, don't you? So we've got one on tonight, and Dan Vaughan's coming on later. We've got the Lions in Pink. Why is it important for you to partner up with people and to split it all and to work together?
Well, it wasn't something we actually purposefully intended to go out and do. We didn't dangle a fishing rod into Google and see who out there is like us. Many of the relationships came around accidentally. Most over one of these, or a discussion on tour somewhere where you meet somebody, and all the relationships that we've got with the likes of Dan, who we'll meet later, Tim Stimpson, with the guys at World After Sport, and many of the other friends and colleagues who are joining us on this venture and beyond. They're just bloody good people. And when you know somebody inside out, and you know the family, and you know that they have outstandingly high values, and they have order books and friends who travel with them because of who they are and the service that they deliver, it just becomes a no-brainer. So a strength in numbers approach has been adapted here. We're just super happy right now. And of course, I need to do a very significant name drop to the Lions in Pink there, because they're a crowd favourite here, and to have those guys choosing to be with us in South Africa next year is very humbling, and we're mega excited about that.
Absolutely. So, because every month the different show, we're going to introduce who the head of media and events is very, very shortly. But we're going to cover things like the tour package in focus. So each of the tour packages, and go through those and what you're offering as well. So tonight, ladies and gents, is really more of a taster. If we'd allowed everybody to sort of cram everything into the running order that we wanted, it would have been about 4 hours. And whilst that would have been great crack, because I'm off the beer at the moment, it wouldn't have been as great crack for me. So we'll try and keep it as a bit of a taster for you all, just to give you a bit of a flavour of what this is. But the lounge, as I said before, is a safe haven for people to come, whether they're going on the tour or not, where everybody is welcome, where everybody is treated equally. And it's part of that, an extension of that MSG family. And that's what the MSG Lekker Lounge is. The word lekker, by the way, we'll come back to later, because we'll get a full explanation of what that is. But we're over the course of the next few months, we'll start meeting some of the tour managers you're going to do as well. And again, we talked about the Lions in Pink. The tour manager system. Is that important that you have representatives looking after people on the ground, making sure they're getting from A to B, nobody's left behind?
Yeah, it's hugely important, and it's one that it's a process that ordinarily by now we've got nailed. Maybe 6 months ago, I'm not going to say the word, but we all know what's happening in the world right now, and that puts us under the right amount of pressure to ensure that we've got the right personnel on board that are empathetic, so understanding that really can and adapting and agile to situations that we don't actually know what the ground's going to be like in South Africa. We know right now that they have very similar distancing rules. Some things are open there, some things are closed here. But the way that we navigate around the country is still yet to be fully determined based on the rules of the country that we are going to. And of course, it's not just South Africa with our trip. We're over the moon at working with the Kingdom of Eswatini. It's got to be the best named country in the world, eh? Not just Eswatini, the Kingdom of Eswatini. So we're covering 2 countries within one trip, and having the right MSG team on the ground, deciding how long we are there in country, bringing in the right candidates to lead the various age groups around. A huge wide range of demographics coming with us, from the retired to the elderly to those just finishing GCSEs or A-levels that have been treated to a wonderful trip by mum and dad, and having the right personnel to work with all those types of tourists is hugely critical, because the mantra really for this is keeping, and that's why we've wanted to do this this podcast early, is to keep people entertained, engaged, but also to get people bloody excited about what is going to be the best Lions tour ever to South Africa. Absolutely.
So I'm going to put a quick disclaimer out though, and we'll cover this a couple of times during the show. So excuse me, MSG Tours is a private tour operator. It is a supporters tour going to South Africa in 2021. You made the conscious decision to pull away from something official. I know you want to cover that and the reasons why, because there's a lot of questions asked.
Yeah, sure. Earlier in the show, you asked about MSG, what we're about, what we really, really believe in, and that's how we recruit our staff, and that's how we deliver our service. The nature of this type of event with the Lions is they have a process of becoming an official sub-agent to work with the Lions themselves, and to do that you have to operate under certain conditions. Some of them it's obviously highly confidential. I can't go into some of the finite details as to why, but the headlines are that we as directors found that to be very restrictive in our mantra, which is delivering the unexpected. For us, going to South Africa is about covering as much ground as possible in the safest way. The rand recently has gone to 23 to the pound, so that gets you an awful lot of these when you're over there, and an awful lot of excursions, activities, and it's just a wonderful, very diverse country. The tests are in Joburg, Cape Town, and back to Joburg again. Taking those aside, you've got the Garden Route, Port Elizabeth, Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, Eswatini, Lesotho. There's just a huge array of amazing places to go. And we wanted to go and explore, take our clients around the country, seeing every blade of grass, and spreading the tourist dollar, and really to do it our way, on our terms. Because we were insistent on that, it didn't work for us to become a partner, and that has had some restrictions in what we can and what we cannot include in the packages. But we've been explicit about what is in our trip, and we've been overjoyed at the amount of people that have wanted to come with us for those reasons.
Yeah, I think it is fair to say that the scale of the people that you have on the ground running things for you, or you will have on the ground running things over there for you, just being there, and I don't say that lightly, knowing these guys, just being there will just create a memory that most people will never have the pleasure to have gone through, regardless of whether you actually get to a game. And I think that's fair to point out, because you're going on an adventure. And that's the only way. And more will come out over the next few months. And I'm just going to leave that because I'm conscious of the time already. But it is an adventure of a lifetime, is what you're buying up to as part of the MSG family. And it's so much more. Now, coffee. You are an aficionado of coffee. Tell us about coffeedog.ie and your love of coffee very briefly.
Very briefly, if I had any other job in the world, other than being a stuntman, but that work's drying up at the moment with you know what, I would love to own a little coffee shop somewhere and finding the best beans around the world and just delivering great Americanos every day. Maybe one day I'll have to have that conversation at home. As that hasn't happened, the story comes around with the company's love of coffee. That when we first got going again five years ago, and we were having meetings with school teachers, we found our way into various staff rooms and being treated to the worst tasting Nescafe ever imaginable, and to chew your way through it. So we thought, well, let's change the script a little bit. Let's take. So you set the meeting up, we'll bring the coffee. And we've started to partner with a few coffee firms, and it's just become a theme for the business. We've worked with some fantastic producers all around the world, and we've been gifting coffee to some of our school teachers and friends of the business for a long time. And Coffee Dog were very, very kind enough to send us. Well, I'm going to be honest, to send a big box to the office, and currently because of the restrictions the office isn't open, so I happened to come in and there was a massive box of coffee, and that hasn't yet found its way around all the staff, but I do have 3 bags left, one of which is named after a certain Big Joe Shepherd. You might be able to tell us a little bit more about that, but what I can say is this is a very, very, very good blend, and I've had too much of it. I've had my fair share, so we need to get rid of these 3 tonight somehow. Maybe I could leave that with you to distribute these amongst the mountain crowd.
Absolutely. What I'll do is I'll just take first thing tomorrow morning, if it's okay with you. I will take a random selection of numbers, and I will just I'll get Titch actually just to pick a random number between 1 and whatever it's going to be, and whoever that is, we'll send you some coffee. It's as simple as that. Absolutely. Good. Listen, I missed one. In fact, there's Sam Brooks saying we could be here for a while on the coffee subject. I think that's a recurring theme, I'm led to believe, on the team in the office. Matt, in fact, there's Titch himself, drinking a cuppa in the Lekker Lounge this time around. Looking forward to swapping for Table Mountain Pale in Cape Town. Absolutely. Mark, listen, we're going to have to bring some more people in. It is a teaser. More will come out as we go over the next few months. The next person I want to bring in is a person who works for the South African Tourism Board in the UK. And I'm going to sort of unmute him. In fact, no, he has to unmute himself because he's muted himself.
That's fine. I can do that.
Alison, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Lekker Lounge. How are you, my good man?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. Thanks so much for having me, Joe. Mark, happy birthday to MSG. I didn't realize it had been 5 years. The company doesn't look a day over 4.5 years, so it's quite good. Happy to be here and happy to talk a bit about South Africa.
Good. Tell us briefly a little bit about yourself and what is your role with the South African Tourism Board UK?
Sure. Well, you probably guessed by the accent, but I'm not South African. I'm not British. I'm not Irish either. I do come from the same hemisphere as South Africa, which is probably a good start, but I've lived over in the UK for a long time. Still like to think I've got my accent though, which is good, but I've worked with the South African Tourism Board now for about 2.5 years, and just promoting the Rainbow Nation, such a big sporting nation. Of course, this is a big sporting nation, Ireland, the UK, and of course the place that I'm from originally as well, in our blood, and it's in their blood too, the Rainbow Nation. So the main job that I would normally be doing, and you're right, Mark, I'm not going to really mention what's going on in the world at the moment either, but I would talk to people like Mark and other people in the travel trade, just to make sure they knew what they were talking about, to make sure that they could talk about South Africa comfortably, confidently, and most importantly, get them down to South Africa to go and visit the amazing place too. So that's what I would normally be doing, but I think my role has changed a little bit, and as you can see, my backdrop isn't Cape Town as it normally would be. Instead, it's my tiny little share house bedroom in West London. So, you know, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not where you are, it's what you're doing, mate, and the value that you're adding. So, you know, fair play to you. Come on. Listen, lekker. Explain to everybody what the word lekker means.
It's pretty easy, to be honest. The Dutch certainly know it as well, but it's a massive thing in South Africa. Now, believe it or not, there are 11 official languages in South Africa. It's pretty crazy. But the good thing is, for anyone listening, the language that we're speaking right now, so long as it's the language that you speak, you're not going to have a problem going down there. Lekker, though, isn't from the English language. It's from Dutch originally, or Afrikaans, which is one of the 11 official languages down in South Africa. But all South Africans use it. It's totally across the board these days. And if you're thinking about what it actually means, if you hear it in a sentence, you'll totally understand. People would say, that match was lekker. I went out the other day and I had a really lekker coffee from Coffee Dog, you know, that sort of stuff. So it's a nice one. It's great. It's cool. It's sweet as. Lekker is a real positive affirmation. And yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not the only sort of saying that South Africans are well known for, you know. Quite often when I talk to my colleagues down in Jersey, Johannesburg, they'll say, oh, you know, I'll get these documents over to you just now. Just now doesn't mean now, though. That means later on. You know, now means now.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it instead of hello or how's it going? Yebo is a very Zulu word, one of the 11 official languages as well. But again, just like lekker, yebo, which means yes, by the way. You can sort of answer if someone asks you a question, you say yebo. It's known all across the country as well. Shop shop's another good one. If you're finishing up and saying goodbye, you say shop shop, and then out you go, basically. So yeah, there's a few, but lekker is a nice one.
That's what Germans actually use the word lekker for tasty.
They do. They do. That's true. I Googled that the other day and I found out. So yeah, that was news to me. Yeah.
A little bit of, we love culture. We love culture here in the Lekker Lounge. It's great. It's a great place to be. But we are going to be having some, as the months go on and as the shows grow, we'll be having some small lessons, if you like, in Afrikaans and some useful keywords like you've just brought out, just to give people a bit of a cultural approach and an understanding to what is a beautiful country. So, braai, varsity, sevens, the importance of sport and the importance of braai, which I only found out recently is a national sport. Tell us briefly about braai.
Absolutely. Braai is a national sport. And I think the amazing thing about braai is when you're having one, which for anyone that doesn't know means barbecue, basically. And again, that is also originally an Afrikaans word or a Dutch word before that too, but it's known all across the country. If you're having a braai, not only is it a national sport, but it's something that brings South Africans together no matter what sport that they follow as well. So there's nothing like being out on a nice warm day up in Limpopo region somewhere or down in Cape Town right by Table Bay, anywhere you are within the Rainbow Nation, really. And you'd be having a braai with a whole bunch of your mates there. It'd be a pretty lekker experience. But South Africans are really big on their meat, but there are plenty of things that you can braai as well. But broodwurst would probably, I would say, be one of the most important things to braai there. So think of a nice, delicious sausage, but it's all curled up, very spiced. Looks a bit odd, but it's very, very tasty. And South Africans would probably be offended if you don't actually try some broodwurst on the braai while you're down there.
Well, as it happens, we were talking today, I get handmade biltong and druvers from up in Ulster from a South African-born former Irish women's prop, Ilse van Staden, and her wife, Alana. So I support that local business there. So they hand make it. And we're just having a chat with moment Ulster and South African legend Louis Loddick. And Skulk van de, they've got their own Hellbent business as well from running out of Ulster as well, and they got those, but we can't get them in the south at the moment. So look, the South Africans are absolutely everywhere. It wasn't until I started the Springbok and South African roundup, fortnightly roundup show, that I just realised that actually the world of separation in South Africa is not 1 in 6 like for the rest of us. It's probably 1 in 2. Everybody is connected through to everybody else. So it's been fab to sort of embrace that. Talk to us a little bit about the R numbers. That's at the moment and where we are.
If we're talking R numbers in regards to the pandemic, basically it doesn't quite work the exact same there. And the good thing is at the moment with South Africa is they're open back up to international tourism. Problem is both Ireland and the UK is not on the list to go back into South Africa, but that's only just at the moment. Give it another couple of months and I'm sure that will change. I mean, you know, I'm absolutely no doctor or no expert or anything like that, but you saw obviously the numbers go down over the summertime in the Northern Hemisphere as a whole, and then starting to creep back up. But of course it's summertime now in the Southern Hemisphere. So the R number, as we would say over here, is well below the 1, which is great. They had a really strict lockdown to begin with, and much stricter than any other Western country that I certainly know of. They banned alcohol sales and a whole bunch of different things, but it worked, you know, because that number's right down now. Obviously, it's a developing country. The economy is a little bit different to how it works over here in Britain and Ireland. So they had to be very careful about just how many people they were allowing to talk to each other, to hang out in big groups and crowds, because the hospitals wouldn't have been able to handle quite as much. So they did what they had to do, and it worked out for the best, which is really, really good. So for them, South Africa is open. They're waiting for people with open arms. At the moment, for us, unfortunately, we can't quite get over there until we prove that our numbers go down. And the way that the South African government is looking at it is if your numbers are lower than their numbers when an infection rate, then you're fine to go, basically. So we might have a little while to wait, but I have a feeling it won't be quite as long as some of us might think it is. So keep our fingers crossed anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really great of you to come on and just set the scene. So tell us, it's such a beautiful multicultural country, you know.
Sure.
It's one of those things that if it's not on your bucket list at some point in your life to go to, then you just must, and see every facet of it, every single facet of it. Tell us in your own words, what is so beautiful about South Africa and why people really need to go on the road to South Africa tour next year?
Well, firstly, you pretty much just sold it to me then, Joe. That was pretty impressive, I must say. Look, I mean, there are so many different reasons. And of course, like you said, this is a little bit of a teaser this evening, just to talk about South Africa, to get people excited to go down there as well. But let's talk about a couple of things. Firstly, the scenic beauty. You can't go past that. So South Africa's got 9 provinces. And look, you don't need to know the names of the provinces. You don't need to remember what the capital of where is and all that sort of stuff. What you do need to remember, though, is that the climate and the landscape is absolutely stunning. That scenic beauty is out there. If we're talking June and July, certain matches are on around that time, of course. It's the winter time in South Africa, but don't think of it like the winter time would be here. Scenic beauty and climate is completely different over there. So if you're down in Cape Town enjoying yourself, it might be a little bit wetter than it would be in the summertime, but it's a Mediterranean climate. So think about it. If you go to Italy in the winter and you're sitting right on the Mediterranean Sea there enjoying yourself, it's nothing like the winter over here, of course. It's completely different. It's the same sort of thing over there too. If we're talking about scenic beauty, we have the 3rd largest canyon in the world, which is quite impressive. So that is one of the most amazing places to go see. It's actually my computer background too, which is quite cool. It's called Blyde River Canyon, part of a much larger trip that you can do very close to Kruger National Park, which I'm sure everyone has heard of. Speaking of the national park, that's just one of many there. Safaris, huge thing. When you think Africa in general, you think safari. And when you think South Africa, safari for beginners, but not in a bad way at all. We've got really good infrastructure. Everyone speaks English nice and easily. You're transferred from A to B with no hassle at all. It's a really good place to start if you haven't been to Africa and been to the continent at all. You probably nailed it on the head yourself when you said, history and culture. And a lot of us know about the history and culture of South Africa because a lot of it's quite recent. A lot of us remember it, and we don't need to go into too much detail there, but certainly know that South Africans, no matter their background, are very transparent. They're very open, and they actually want to teach people about the past because that way you understand what South Africa is like now as a nation and where they're headed into the future as well, which is quite impressive. So last year they celebrated 25 years of democracy for all. So as you can imagine, there were some pretty big celebrations going around at that point in time. Nelson Mandela would have turned 100 last year as well, but obviously he passed away a few years ago now, but still some big celebrations there as well for Madiba. Active adventure, huge thing. I'm very sure there's probably a few adrenaline junkies that are going to be heading down there for the big watches, for the big matches. And of course, keeping that in mind, even one of the stadiums, just for example, in Durban, if anyone decides to go there while they're checking out South Africa, one of my personal favorite cities, by the way, they've got the largest stadium swing in the world. And I had the pleasure of seeing my boss jump off that in 2018, I think it was, and it was good fun. Can't say I've done it myself, but it was pretty interesting to see. Tallest bungee jump in the world. We stole that from the Kiwis quite a number of years ago. It's Guinness World Records certified, so that means it's a super proper thing as well. Plenty of zip lines. There's rappelling or abseiling right off Table Mountain, if you like. So there's plenty of things. And Mark, you mentioned it really briefly before, but another really amazing thing about South Africa to bring all of this together is the money. 23 Rand to the pound is what you're getting at the moment. Buy up now, folks. This is the best time to do it. So even last time I was there, well, actually, I was lucky enough to be there in February just before just before things changed, but I was only there for a couple of days for a meeting. But last year, when I was traveling through South Africa, I was reminded every single time that when you go to spend £2.60-ish here in London anyway on a decent coffee, you know, being an Antipodean, I need a good flat white, so I also appreciate a decent coffee. And about £2.60 down there, you're getting a coffee, sometimes even better than you would get from the independent coffee places here in London or here in the UK or in Ireland in general. 90p. a pound maximum. That's about it, you know. And of course, we can talk about coffee, but you probably should be talking about beer as well, because you want to be celebrating while you're down there with the big game. And if you're having a nice big pint of lager or even something a little bit posher like a craft beer, £1 to £2 is what you're paying there again. So just keep in mind that value for money is fantastic. And don't worry too much when you're booking stuff through MSG Tours and you go, oh, that package looks a little bit expensive. Because remember, once you hit the ground running, it's nothing. It's cheap as chips. And that's one of the most amazing things about South Africa. Apart from that, of course, the landscape, the scenery, the culture, the history, the wildlife, absolutely fantastic as well. And I probably should mention the wine very briefly too, which is pretty amazing. So loads of cool things about South Africa.
Brilliant. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to get my coat because it's just whetting the appetite, lads. It really, really is for anybody. Steve Larson, thanks very much, mate. I know that you're going to we're going to drop you out and you're going to come back in later for your little competition at the end. Stay with us. So thanks very much for now, mate. That's a great overview, and we'll see you back in the Lekker Lounge very shortly. Lads, we're going to move on. Wow, absolutely fabulous. Just before we bring our next guest in, who we've got in tonight, Helen Walsham. Helen, good evening to you. Myself and my family went years ago, and I wanted to move to South Africa. What an amazing place. Loved it. Can't wait to go again. Contact the team at MSG, guys. That's the way to be able to go and to do it and to enjoy it. You are welcome to the MSG Lekker Lounge for episode 1 of live at the Lekker Lounge. I'm Big Joe Shep, your host for tonight, and in the studio currently with me is Mark Gardner, who owns and runs and is the founder and has all of these fab ideas about bringing people together and just making life better and going on tour. Well, now is a big opportunity because you'll get rid of me soon enough, which will be fab, because this guy is clever. He's good looking. He's young. He is the anchor man for a lot of international rugby, Scrum V Live, Scrum V on the radio. He's with Premier Sport. He's just an all-round bloody good gentleman, and I'm envious as anything. Please welcome the new head of media and event at MSG Tours. It's the great Ross HARRIES. You've got to unmute yourself, mate. No, you're still. There we go.
How's this? How's that for a dramatic introduction?
Oh,
Ball fishing for a minute.
I thought it was a line snapping at you.
That was a very generous introduction. It was all lies, but I will send you the £10 as previously agreed. So thank you very much.
Double. I must have been better than I like to invite people so that the time that they have finished, they don't finish all the time. That's where I'm trying to look at it. So good. Ross, you're more than welcome, mate. New head of media and events for MSG Tours. Congratulations. Well done, mate. I think it's a real coup that Chief Mark has got. Tell us a little bit about what your role is going to be, mate, for them.
Well, it's a very lofty title. I don't know if I'm quite worthy of it, but yeah, thanks ever so much to Mark and all the crew at MSG for getting me on board. You know, I've known Mark a little while now, and I've been super impressed with the way he conducts his business and totally bought into the whole ethos behind it as well. You've touched on it already tonight. You know, rugby and travel, probably my two biggest passions, well, and music as well, I guess. But to combine the two in the way that MSG does is inspirational. And you know, a lot of the rugby tours that Mark's mentioned are a bit more prescriptive, and there's a bit more, I guess, of a sort of a mob mentality. You kind of follow everyone around the country you're at, and you don't really get to experience the country you're visiting in quite the same way. And everything about what MSG does taps into that spirit of adventure, you know, the kind of people who love not just the sport and the rugby and all that goes along with that, but that sense of adventure, being on a voyage of discovery and finding things out, meeting people, traveling to far-flung parts and undiscovered parts, and everything that I've seen and read about MSG kind of ticks all of those boxes. So as for me, I'm just kind of, I guess, as you say, head of media and events. I mean, I've been sort of hacking around in the media and broadcasting industry for a couple of decades now. So I think the idea is that I'll bring some of my supposed experience to bear and hopefully impart some sort of wisdom on PR and marketing and how we can sort of really get the message out there and get people engaged and get people involved. And going on the tour itself, of course, and making it hopefully as memorable an event and occasion as we can do, because once people have signed up and they're getting ready to go to South Africa, we want to make sure when they get there they have the greatest fun, the most memorable trip, the most amazing memories made. So I'll hopefully be there every step of the way, accompanying them on that trip of a lifetime.
Good, Jules. And you're really busy at the moment. What are you up to at the moment?
Yeah, after a pretty barren period over the sort of summer months, things have picked up again now. And aside from the fact all the stadiums are empty, we're back to normal in terms of rugby. So yeah, the calendar filled up pretty quickly. So I was in Cardiff Arms Park last night. There was a Munster Cardiff Blues game. New experiment with Premier Sports. We're bringing Monday night rugby to the masses, just to try and take away from the weekends where the international matches are dominating at the moment. So we had a cracking match last night between Munster and the Cardiff Blues. Full Pro 14 calendars up and running. And then, of course, the internationals are up and running again now. So the Autumn Nations Cup is just around the corner. So I'll be working for Amazon and Channel 4, presenting their coverage for that as well. Hopefully Wales can recover from that. I'm not going to say drubbing in the hands of France, but it all got a little bit overwhelming towards the end, didn't it? So got a chance to redeem ourselves now when the Autumn Nations Cup comes along. And mainly all the broadcasting, Joe, but a bit of writing on the side as well to try and keep my tools sharpened in that department too. But thankfully, as I say, after a fairly barren summer where I was kind of looking out the window and wondering where the next gig would come from, I'm as busy as I've ever been right now.
Good, great to hear. Hey, congratulations on the gig with Amazon. That's absolutely superb, Amazon and Channel 4. Been a lot of talk about that, but actually I think it's great to mix things up a little bit. So fair play to Amazon Prime for knocking that out. And great to look forward to. I have Prime. So other stuff are available as well, like other coffees are available, but not as good as coffeedog.ie, not as good as Amazon Prime, in my opinion. There we go. Bit of a plug. So, books. You say you're keeping on writing. So Behind the Dragon was shortlisted for the William Hill Sports Book of the Year 2020. Tell us a little bit about writing the book Behind the Dragon. What is it? What it's about? And how did you get to start writing that?
Yeah, thanks for the plug. Conveniently, I've got a copy of the book right here, which is available in all good bookstores. It was a very different project, this one, because it's unlike a sort of a straight narrative. It's an oral history. So it's a kind of multitude of voices all woven together, which the aim of which was to chart the history of Welsh rugby from the formation of the Welsh Rugby Union in the 1880s right up to the present day. And as you're well aware, there's a lot of ground to cover there. So the big challenge was just choosing which bits to focus on and which bits to ignore, essentially. And my aim personally was to try and tap into some stories that hadn't already been told. We all know roughly what happened on the pitch. We know about the classic tries, the classic matches, and the grand slams, and the disappointments as well. But I just wanted to really dig into the players' minds and find some of those kind of anecdotes that aren't that well worn and that haven't necessarily been heard on the after dinner circuit, and that would just really get people to raise an eyebrow or get people to be intrigued about what happens off the pitch and in the dressing rooms and on tour, that kind of thing. So it was a labour of love, to be honest, Joe, because I got to spend tons of time in the company of several of my heroes and just hear them wax lyrical about the glory days. Someone like, we're going to meet someone later on from Llanelli who will know exactly who I'm talking about when I say Phil Bennett. In fact, the whole rugby world will know exactly who I'm talking about. He was an absolute hero. A hero of my dad's as well growing up, and I got to spend an entire afternoon in his living room being fed sandwiches and scones and Welsh cakes and countless cups of coffee And he's just got the perfect kind of West Walian brogue. He's got a storyteller's way about him, and he can just sit there and weave these spells around you for hours on end, and that's what he did. So it was an absolute privilege to sit down with these people and hear some of their amazing tales, and my job was essentially to pack all that into something resembling a book, and yeah, thankfully I managed to do that.
Good. How you talk about the old mould and the greats of Welsh rugby. You know, you go through a period where there wasn't anything other than Welsh rugby. We talk about the All Blacks, like the All Blacks have always been the great. But sometimes I think our narrow vision, like if it wasn't last week or last month or last year, we tend to forget about that historic piece. And Wales, for me, always, even as an Irishman, always been at the forefront of leading on absolutely everything. How I hear today, by the way, JJ Williams is very, very poorly. So very, very best to him. How difficult is it to get access to some of these people, modern and old, to be able to put a book together?
Yeah, a lot of this was based on, you know, just opening up my contact book, really, and luckily, because I've worked in the industry for a while now, you know, you kind of build up these contacts, and that was the nice thing about this project. Was often when you approach certainly current players, you normally have to go through press offices, and you know, have to set up an appointment, and you get precious little time to really explore anything. Whereas, you know, the way I sold this project to everyone I spoke to was that it wasn't for a newspaper article, or it wasn't a short broadcast interview. It was an opportunity to really open up and share their stories. And most of the meetings took place, you know, in a coffee shop or in a pub. Virtually all of them were face to face, because that's the way I like to do these things. I think, you know, when you've got eye contact and you sit down with someone, body language and everything, you generally get a bit more honesty. So most of them, almost without exception, were so forthcoming, so cooperative. You know, it was just a question of picking up the phone. And then if I didn't have someone's details, I mean, you mentioned JJ there. I spent a good few hours in his house as well. And by the time I left, he'd kind of given me countless numbers of other lesser lights from that era and said, oh, give him a ring. You know, he lives here, or give him a ring. He'd love to speak to you. And it was almost like the tentacles spread then. You know, for every person you met, you get another 2 or 3 contacts, and they'd normally come having been endorsed by the previous guy, so they knew you were coming to ask. And yeah, it was just it was a really pleasant thing. You didn't feel like you were trying to bang down doors, because everyone was just, you know, opening their doors and welcoming you in.
Absolutely. Here, listen. Tell us a secret. There's nobody else really else, you know, apart from who's on YouTube. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? 3 blokes. Some more difficult than.
Say again. You just cut out a bit there, Joe.
In all seriousness, are some more difficult to chat with than others, to elicit, not in a negative way, but to elicit stuff from them?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, everyone's different. Some people are, as I say, completely honest and open and candid, and they're normally the players that were that way during their playing days. I found, as a rule of thumb, the closer I got to the present day, the more difficult it became. You know, the people I did speak to who won the last Grand Slam in 2019 were fantastic. You know, Liam Williams is in there, Hadley Parks, Jonathan Davis, Gareth Davis, Gareth Anscombe, and they were all brilliantly forthcoming. And it was a really eventful campaign, that, because there was all the stuff about the Scarlets Ospreys merger, which could have derailed what proved to be a Grand Slam campaign. But we all know, don't we, since the game's gone professional and media officers have been employed, players literally get media training. You know, they get told how to avoid questions and how to flat bat certain questions. So back in the day, when relationships between the press and the players had far fewer barriers there, I think those players are far, far more forthcoming. And of course, the amateur era probably gives better stories, because, you know, they weren't in the gym every hour of the day. They weren't looking after their nutrition and their diet to the extent they are these days. You know, they are pretty much automatons these days, aren't they, in the nicest possible way? Whereas back then, you know, they had jobs. They were scaffolders, builders, brickies, chippies, carpenters, doctors, teachers. Such an amazing mixed background in those squads. So they all had totally different life experience and totally different stories to tell. So yeah, I think the later you got in the history of Welsh rugby, the more difficult it became to extract what you wanted, and the further back you went, the easier it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So what, just getting some feedback when I'm talking. I think that hopefully that will have stopped now. Yeah, hopefully it's good. You don't want to hear me twice, that's for sure. So tell us about what single thing, both either personally or professionally, mate, or you, because you've done loads. Let's not deny it. You have done loads. So you've been scrapping around, not scrapping around. You know, I've scrapped around for 3 years doing this. You haven't, so let's keep it real. Now, in all seriousness, what one single thing, personal or professional, are you really looking forward to as part of Team MSG?
Well, I think throughout my career, I've been really fortunate to go on the last 2 Lions tours with work, and they have been the undoubted highlights. There is something so special and unique about a Lions tour, and I know you hear that, but it is so true. You know, so many things in life, they don't meet your expectations. A Lions tour exceeds your expectations. There's something so wonderfully unique about it, and I've been on, as I say, Australia 2013. I was actually in Australia in 2001 when they toured there as well, but that was as a kind of long-haired, greasy backpacker rather than a supposed professional. And in 2017 in New Zealand, an epic tour in its own right, especially given the way it all unfolded and the draw and the final test and all the drama that came with that. But I've yet to go to South Africa on a Lions tour, and I've been told by everyone who has been, it is the best of all the countries to tour in. So I'm hoping the answer to your question, Joe, is that the best is yet to come. You know, this tour to South Africa, and I'm already getting goosebumps just listening to Mark describe the itinerary, because it's a phenomenal country. They are obsessed with rugby in a way that I think only we in Wales and maybe the Kiwis can relate to. It is an absolute national obsession for them over there. They're the world champions, which is just another huge bonus. It just gives that Lions tour an extra layer of excitement if, you know, you're taking on the team that are the best team in the world. So I think this tour will be absolutely phenomenal. It could well be, as Mark's already said, one of the greatest of all time. You look back at the last 2 to South Africa, they are genuine epoch-making tours. You know, 2009, when perhaps the Lions should have won, and 97, which is kind of the entry point for a lot of Lions fans of a certain generation, you know, because it was documented so well on that Living with Lions video, which my copy wore out years and years and years ago. I watched that so many times, and there's just so many kind of pivotal moments in that video that makes you kind of almost shiver with anticipation of what we've got ahead of us next summer.
Yeah, that's absolutely superb, mate. Honestly, absolutely brilliant. Alan Ross went to some feedback again. I'll try that one again. Went to Japan with MSG for the Rugby World Cup and had a great time. Looking forward to going with MSG to South Africa. Fair play, well done. Now we do have a question, and I'm going to stick to Mark before we bring in some one of our partners. The Millionrand Project. Tell everybody what it is, mate, please, because this is really important.
It is. It's something that I can see when we talk about this project in our team meetings. Well, it's got huge buy-in, and simply put, the trip for us. Of course, it's a commercial venture. We're a business. We have staff. We want to be here in 15 years' time. So it goes without saying that the Lions for us is important on many levels. But it doesn't mean that we can't leave a legacy, and doing it in a way that benefits purposeful charities that we decide that are right for us because we know these people, or we've got strong bonds with these partnerships in South Africa. A Lions tour doesn't just happen. We don't look at a map and think, well, we'll do Cape Town and Joburg. The way that our trips have been structured is for some very detailed planning, including last February, where we took 6 members of the team over to South Africa. We went to see some of the charities we're working with, 32 different destinations, I think 28 hotels, really getting under the skin of the whole country. And we took the staff to see some of the partnerships that we have with the likes of Scrum, the Good Sport Foundation, the Little Rose Centre in Soweto, and just the work that people do with no budgets and the outcomes that are given. And we've seen it, touched it in our own eyes, and it's had a really profound effect on everyone within the team. And recently we've added in the Beast as well. He needs very little introduction in rugby terms, and his foundation is part of the 1 million rand. And our commitment, no matter what, is that we are making a pledge for 1 million rand that will be given equally between 5 charities around South Africa. One of them is Pink Drive, which has a focus of getting into the lower demographic areas, especially the townships, and providing that first touch cancer information, i.e. this is what you do to recognise the symptoms. These people who perhaps may not have the education or the wherewithal to find that out. So that's a really sort of bespoke thing that this charity do, and it means a lot to us. Certain people in the team have got many family members that have been less fortunate, and it's very, very personal to us. But equally, the Good Sport Foundation in Cape Town, they coach the coaches. So they take people out to the townships, get them the rugby education, netball, the football education, get them trained up to be coaches in the sport. Then they send them back in. And it keeps it very, very sustainable. So the 1 million rand is simple. Our pledge is that cash is going to 5 distinct charities. And whilst we're in South Africa, our fans who are really with us will have opportunities to come and socially engage at the right distance to see the operations in person.
Brilliant. Absolutely superb and very altruistic as well. Ross, listen, thanks for giving us an overview, mate. Obviously, people are going to see you from the next show onwards more and more and more. And also, Ross, in that piece there, because on next month's show, we'll leave that to the end. We don't want to spoil people too quickly, do we? Right, we need to move on, conscious of the time. And we're going to bring in one of the partners that MSG have done. I love this joint bloody venture partnership stuff. It fires me up, that sharing little bits of bloody goodness across the globe with everybody and taking people with you. So, Jesus, no. He's put my nemesis up, right? He's gone. Well, shows the other week. And he does this to me. Oh, he let me down. I said you were so good. Welcome to the show. Daniel Vaughan, how are you? No, actually, keep speaking, because if you're going to speak about Mr. Gatland, you muted yourself, so I'm quite happy for you to say anything on the cover.
All right. Good evening, Joe. Good evening, Mark. Good evening, Ross. How are you guys?
I'm good, mate. How is Sir Garen Watland? Is he good?
He's very well, Joe. Yeah. So he tells me. You right, Kat? Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I'll reserve judgment, shall I? That's why I'm very respectful of Sir Garen Watland. I have no doubt that some of those youngsters in South Africa, if anybody's going on the tour, by the way, and you've got anybody around the age of 12 and you're in proximity, then you're fair called to be called up. Ha. It's just a bit of crack, lads. There's more to go on. Daniel Vaughan, tell us a little bit about yourself and Vaughan Voyage Travels and why you're partnering with MSG, mate.
Thank you, Joe. So Vaughan Voyage has been in operation officially for about 18 months now. We started, having done many tours over the years, off my own back, we decided to go semi-professional. I say that lightly and loosely. Back in April of last year, leading up to the Japan World Cup. We were very lucky to have 2 full trips to Japan in the early stages and the latter stages of the World Cup. Of course, we enjoyed the early stages. Wales beat Australia and Georgia on that trip. And unfortunately, we lost New Zealand and prior to that, South Africa, of course, in the semi-final, which I think was today, a year ago today. So yeah, it was great. It was a great time. From there, I met Mark in November, and as the saying goes, it's gone sweetly ever since. And I just loved what Mark was doing with MSG and his team there. running fantastic trips all over the world, of course, with schools, colleges, universities, sports clubs, every man and his dog. So yeah, we love what they're doing. Love that they support charities as well. Important for us. We've done that in many of the trips that we've run over many years, not just since Bon Voyage has been in operation. So yeah, it was great. It was a great opportunity to get in with MSG. We decided back in January, I think it was, Mark, to do a trip to New Zealand for the Wales tour, of course. That ended well. Thank you, pandemic. I'll stick to Mark's rules of not mentioning the name. Yeah, unfortunately that fell by the wayside, but hey ho, you move on, and we've got a fantastic trip to South Africa planned with MSG and Bon Voyage now next year. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. What's the best thing about these type of tours, both for yourself personally and for the people that you're taking with you through your own travel company?
Good question, Joe. For me, it's the informality of it. I think, if you want to do, for me, and it is my personal opinion, if you want to do a dinner, 4 or 5 courses and a tuxedo, then do it at home. Do it in Stradley Park Hotel, do it in the Diplomat, do it in one of the other wonderful hotels in this neck of the woods. I'm not about that. I haven't been on tours. I think it's quite nice to have the informality, as I say. Make sure it's casual. I like that you can engage with supporters in all different coloured tops, which obviously feeds very well and very nicely into the Lions ethos. But yeah, I just think that the social element of it is paramount for any Bon Voyage trip. It seems that way, especially with MSG as well, and why they've been so successful over the years. So yeah, it was a good fit. We're looking forward to plenty of socialising, shall we say. At least 3/5 of a pint down. So and we continue that into next year as well. Plenty of singing as well, of course.
Absolutely, and we know we're going to see more of you as the months come on. A message from Titch there. The bars are closed in lockdown. You're a rebel, so you are. I'm the man. Joe Ledger, welcome to the show as well. And yeah, listen, there's more to come. I tell you what, it's a bit like a moment on Blackadder. For people who are fans that were Stem George, I have to say something, otherwise I'll Ballywell burst. All of these things, I know what's coming. Not just the number of guests and the amount of information. I know it's coming over the next few months. I can tell you, I'm glad I'm just going to be. I'll be down in the background with the giant borrowers just producing, because absolutely phenomenally amazing. Dan, it's great to have you on, mate, as ever, and I think it's a wise choice for both MSG and for Bon Voyage Tours. So cool. Now, very, very good friend of yours, we're going to bring into the studio now. Now, this man is one of those legends that the great Ross HARRIES just spoke about. He is, I always giggle whenever I say anything about him. He just is one of those characters in life. And of course, everybody knows that I have this, is the word distaste for scrum halves and tens and sort of like, those sort of clever, good-looking types once upon a time. He tells me he is a man that is just personified who you'd want to go on a tour with. If you were picking people to go on a tour, this man would be. He is a Welsh rugby legend. It is the great Rupert Moon. Rupert, how are you doing? Shameless plug, sir. Shameless. Yeah, I had a good
This book was out in 1999. I managed to pick up a signed copy for 50p. Have I changed?
Good one.
Have I changed at all?
No comment.
I don't think you'll change in another 50 years, Rupert, to be honest. We hope that you're well, and you're looking fine, Fettle, and you always have that cheeky impish grin on your face, mate. It's good.
I'm excited.
I know, it's just, there's people at home thinking, Jesus, I wish I was in that lounge with them. Well, you can be, lads. It's all time, because we're going to be having, that's another thing we haven't told them yet, Mark. We're going to be having fans, supporters come into the lounge with us live to do chats and everything. So, but more on that another time. Rupert Moon, tell us a little bit about what you're doing with yourself now, mate, and what about the Lions tour that you're looking forward to after that.
Well, I've got a proper job now. I work in property. I work for R&F Property Group. I've got out of sport. I used to be the commercial director at the WRU, at the Scarlets, and up in North Wales. And now I'm a true supporter. I can actually enjoy the occasions without having to worry about what happens. And so I've had some wonderful experiences with Mr. Vaughan over many years where he's serenaded me. And I'm sure he can serenade me now. Can you serenade me now, Dan?
Yeah. Maybe.
We all want a quick song from Dan, don't we? Any song, away you go.
Come on, quick, Dan.
Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more. We're not going top note tonight. We're not going top note. It's a bit late. It's only in a week, and it's only one point.
Beautiful.
So
People didn't expect that bit of culture on tonight's show. Then there's more of that to come. So if you've got a favorite, here we go. We didn't plan this. Ladies and gents who's watching tonight, you're welcome to the MSG Lekker Lounge, the first of the live Lekker Lounge series. If you have a favourite song that you would like Daniel Vaughan to sing on future shows, then tell us. It can be anything you want, and if he doesn't know it, he's going to have to go off and learn it. You know, talk about Britain's Got Talent. MSG Lekker Lounge got talent. In fact, actually, oh geez, I need a pen. I need to write down ideas. Stop. There'll be more to come. Sing songs, competitions, all sorts. Rube,
being a
what
true
is Lions tour, mate?
Yeah, look, I played rugby from the age of 5, and I've either played or worked in it. And if I wasn't playing, I was on the bench or I was injured. And having never been a supporter until I had the experience of spending time with Dan Vaughan. And I went on a trip to the World Cup with Gareth Jenkins, who coached the Lions and Wales and the Scarlets. He's like my adopted father. I had an incredible, unique experience. And what Dan alluded to earlier about the informality, what we can control is the enjoyment that you have outside of the 80 minutes that happen on that field of play. The occasion of going to the World Cup was so unique, spending time and understanding what it really is like to be a true supporter. And I loved it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was able to lie in when I wanted to. I went on trips when I wanted to, but also I shared the experiences and the emotion of the nervousness on match day, and also the whatever happened after the game, and how we took the game apart as though we were playing that game, but it was in the best spirit, and understanding it, having been on that field of play, really does make it just so enjoyable for everybody around. I was nearly a Lion in 2001 when Ross was carrying his backpack. I was over on the trip. I'd come back to play for Wales back in '99, playing for Graham Henry, and we'd had a bit of a successful time. I retired at the end of that season and went to watch the Lions with a few friends. And the day before the last test, Rob Howley had got injured. Austin Healy had back spasms. Scott Quinnell and Rob Howley came to my hotel, which just happened to be round the corner from the team hotel. And Graham Henry wanted a meeting. And he said, look, there's a standby list. You retired, so you're not even on it. But I know what you can do. I know you can help me. If Austin Healy's back spasm doesn't get better and they can't find Andy Nicol, then you could be on the bench in the last test in 2001. And I was like, oh, my God. And it was an incredible night where just for one night I dreamt and I believed that I was nearly a Lion. Saturday morning came. Andy Nicol was found in the outback. He sat on the bench and the Lions lost. I think it was 29-23. And then obviously, if I would have been in the squad, we wouldn't have lost, and they wouldn't have lost the series.
And sometimes those margins are so small, it's absolutely unbelievable. Ross, what is it that sets a Lions tour apart from maybe a national tour, a national team tour for you?
I think, to give you an illustration, Joe, I covered the Wales tour to New Zealand in 2016, the year before the Lions toured there. And the difference is astonishing. You know, on a Wales tour, the Kiwis love it because, you know, traditional rival and another rugby-loving nation. But you'd go to a press conference and there'd be maybe 4, 5, 6 other journalists there. That would be it. It would be so informal. The coaches would wander in through the back door, and you'd have a little chat with them before the official press conference got underway. And it was all very kind of informal, casual. There was a small smattering of travelling fans, but not very many. It was mainly all, rugby mad Kiwis in the crowd. Fast forward a year to the Lions Tour, it couldn't be more different. You were lucky to get a seat in the press conferences. Some of them had security guards on the doors outside. There'd be 100 journalists all queuing up to talk to Warren Gatland or Alan Wynne-Jones or whoever it may be at the top table. And, you just had to rely on catching the eye of the press officer if you were to get a question in. So the interest in a Lions Tour eclipses anything else. And, we've all said it before, haven't we? But what other sporting team can guarantee 30,000, 40,000 travelling fans, and not just to skip across to the continent, but to get on a plane and travel to the opposite end of the earth to follow their team, which only comes together every 4 years. It is the most bonkers concept in sport, but it's still the most popular sporting brand for an overseas touring side, and long may it continue. But yeah, the difference between a national tour and an Lions Tour is just scale. It's everywhere. The colour, the flavour, the accents, the crowd, the celebrations, everything is just ramped up to 100.
Good man. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Mark Gardner, what does the Lions Tour mean to you as a passionate Welshman? We'll forgive you for that. But as you're going to be out there, Jesus, you could be on, Rube was close. You could be closer on Sir Garen Watman's list, mate. Just take your boots with you, mate. Keep yourself in trim until you get there. Seriously, what separates for you a Lions Tour over a national test tour?
Well, I was laughing at Ross's comment earlier about being a long-haired backpacker in 2001. I actually had reasonably long hair in 2001. My last haircut was December the 21st, 2003. And I can probably tell you how much that cost. It's a lot less now than what haircuts are, apparently. That was my first taste of a Lions Tour, but also my first taste of working on a Lions Tour as well. But my journey started in 1997, watching the second test whilst running the bar at the Marriott Hotel in St. Pierre in Chepstow with two friends. And we were playing rugby, we were playing youth rugby at the time, and the game just it did something. And this was before the Lim the Lions video came out the following year. But we just exchanged that look. Like, we are going on the next Lions Tour. Where is it? Australia, I think. Great. Well, wherever it could have been to Ripon, or it could have been to Belgium. It wouldn't have mattered where it was. We were going. So that was set for us in '97, and it is, other than New Zealand 2005, which is a slightly awkward one because of the performances on the pitch, and being a tour manager away, the furthest place you can physically be from home when it's pissing down and it's freezing. And if anyone was in 2005 and remember that first game in Christchurch, oh my God, I've never been this cold. But when you're 2-0 down on a Lions Tour and you've got another week to go back to Auckland and it's raining, that wasn't great. But for all the others, that last game, Mooney, we were saying there about potentially being on the bench, it was that last line out. I think Justin Harrison took that to stop us from potentially scoring. And had we converted that score, if I'm right in saying, we would have won that series in 2001. 2005 needs, let's go over that. 2009, I bet Sean Edwards still wakes up in the middle of the night, with seeing Ronan O'Gara for what could have been and what should have been on that trip. But each of the games since 13, 17, you could write books and books on that last game or how that series unfolded in New Zealand. But when you go into that last game as a fan, 1-1, and it's all about what is going to happen in that next game, it's all you talk about for the whole of that week. I love the fact we get so many couples going on a Lions Tour. Most people are couples, and the wife often is dragged. Very, very seldom is the husband dragged along on a Lions Tour. Often the wife is dragged along, has been bought a Lions shirt and is rolling her eyes on the first game. By game 3, they can name the 22. Where these players are born, how many caps that they've got, what the lineup should be. It just brings everyone together in this unreal excitement for what is always the testing match. But working it, when you're there and you are taking these people around these amazing countries, and you're seeing the impact of the itineraries and the hard work coming to fruition, and the rugby's going well, and the weather's good, then those three things are just unique to the way that we do our jobs.
It's just, honestly. And if you needed any more excitement tonight, we've got another mystery guest, and I have to bring him in now because he keeps sending. We've got a private chat room here, and he's inundated us with messages because I think he's getting bored. Please welcome our mystery guest, and from the Lions in Pink, it's Dave Johnson.
Hello. How are you doing, you guys? I'm not inundating you all. I'm just like sat here, just chilling on my own in my kitchen. My girls are upstairs in bed, and I haven't got a clue what to do in front of a laptop. Normally, I'm doing different things at this time of night in front of a laptop.
You crazy man. Dave, great to see you.
I am jealous of not only Vaughan's HD 4K feed, but also that man cave. He makes the rest of us, all of us. In fact, my feed's not too bad looking at myself, but you lot look like doing like a foggy mist. So.
I'll tell you. Life's been good, mate. Right, you tell us very quickly. We've got more competition to do. But Dave Johnson, tell us, what does... You work very closely with MSG, and there's very good reason. Tell us a little bit, very briefly, for those people who hadn't seen it before. Blimey, you'd be foolish if you hadn't watched the Lions in Pink show that we did a few weeks ago. But tell us about Lions in Pink and why it is so special working with MSG for you, mate.
Oh, gripes! That's an easy one. That one is. So Lions Pink, 6 lads, ex-military. We'd followed the Lions on TV from, I think I missed the '93 tour. My first game was, like Ross said, was the '97. That brought me on board. I just come back from the Falklands, watching it on a summer Germany tour, which was great. But like all of us, we watched it on TV. No one actually got the time off to go and watch it all. Stu and Andy made a pact. Let's go and watch it in 17 with New Zealand. I did a last minute, got together, and the invite just went out. We all just gathered and met up in Wellington, 6 blokes who had all toured together in various parts of a career. We had a welly of a time. I was getting called when I was working at Virgin by Andy and Stu in the middle of the day as they were finishing off at 4 and 5 in the morning after like a midweek game, and I'm there dancing in shirt and tie in the middle of this office space, and I was just dead jealous. So I bought my tickets, went out, joined them, met with Mark, and just never looked back. I felt like it's been said all night, they're just a great bunch of people, right? They put up with a bunch of drunken old idiots like ourselves who just like to make stupidity of ourselves all the time. We have a great crack. We all get on together, and they've got a great package that we can align to. That's basically the crux of it.
Good man, we'll absolutely love it. I mean, we're going to see more of you and the guys as the months go on. Welcome, everybody. You are here at the MSG Tours Lekker Lounge. MSG Tours providing a supporters tour to South Africa next year, as you can see from the title there, The Road to South Africa 2021, and they are an independent travel operator, and so we put that out there. That there's a very good reason for that. So contact MSG Tours, because it is an adventure that you will never ever likely to have again. So go and see the guys there. I'm Big Joe Shep. We've got all sorts of people tonight. We've got Headman himself, Mark Gardner. We've got the great Ross HARRIES in. We've got Daniel Vaughan, who everybody's jealous with. In fact, actually, I wish that you didn't. You hadn't have got your 4G, your 4K, your gigabit in today, because you wouldn't have been in your man cave. That makes so jealous. And he's drinking beer. What's all that about?
We're just lucky he's not good looking as well, right? Or else we read stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's only room for one good-looking bloke in this place, and as you can see, face for radio and all that.
I would agree. Yes.
You'll have to. The viewers will have to sort of run another competition saying who was better looking, Big Joe Shep or Rupert Moon.
I'm just jealous. I've got nothing to plug apart from my friend here. You know what I mean?
Right, we are going to have a quick competition, ladies and gents, before we wrap up. I'm going to bring back Steve Valletstone into... How are you, mate? Good. You're...
I've done the old mute myself thing again. Yeah, pretty good.
That's what we love. That's what we can have a free rugby ball, mate. There we go. Right, so we've got a competition for, it is called 2 versus 1, a truth or fact or a lying factor. First, I'm going to give everybody 3 facts. One of them is wrong, incorrect. One is a lie, and 2 are truths. Hence, 2 truths and a lie. The first fact, and you've got to guess it, and this is everybody who's in the Lekker Lounge tonight against poor old Steve, because he is the South African tourism rep in the UK. So he has to say whether it's the truth or a lie. So we'll go around everybody. So the first one is, it'll run on the bottom of this, run on the bottom of the stuff now. The question is, or the fact is, South Africa is the only country in the world to have hosted the soccer, cricket, and rugby World Cup. Is that true, or is it a lie? South Africa is the only country in the world to have hosted the soccer, cricket, and rugby World Cup. Wait till the end. Don't peek too early, Rupert. It's we got another 2. And you, Daniel, saw you there. It's like being at school again, isn't it? Hands down. Oh, 4 pounds. There we go. There we go. That one. So the first one. South Africa is the only country in the world to have hosted the soccer, cricket, and rugby World Cup. Is that truth, or is that a lie? Number 2 fact. At 850 kilometers there, South Africa has the longest wine route in the world. At 850 kilometers, South Africa has the longest wine route in the world. That's number 2. Let's take that one off there. And we'll have the third one, which is, oh, this is going to split the vote. You can find a piece of the Berlin Wall in South Africa. Fact number 3. So, once again, we have got South Africa is the only country in the world to have hosted the soccer, cricket, and rugby World Cups. At 850 kilometers, South Africa is the longest wine route in the world. I don't care whether that's true. If it's anywhere near, I need to go and do the tour of that, even if it's just halfway there. There must be the odd Malbec I can quaff while I'm there. And finally, you can find a piece of the Berlin Wall in South Africa. So, Mark Gardner, 1, 2, or 3, sir?
I think number 1 is true.
Which is the lie, Mark?
Which is the lie? Number 2.
You see, number 2. Oh, interesting. 850 kilometers is the wine route. So that's a lie, according to Mark Gardner. Ross Harries.
I think number 2 is the lie.
The wine route as well.
Wine route.
Ooh, the wine route. Okay.
Writing all this down, obviously.
Daniel. Mr. Vaughan.
Hello. To keep it exciting, I'll go number 3.
Okay. So the piece of Berlin Wall. Piece of Berlin Wall in South Africa is a lie. Interesting. Dave the Rave.
I think number 2 is the lie as well, only because I recall, I think, and this could be totally blown out of the water, right? In February we went, somebody said something on the Berlin Wall. That's all I can remember, and Daniel may have forgotten that. But that could be blown out of the water, right?
Yeah, there's no may have forgotten about it, Dave. I have forgotten.
And finally, Rupert. Which is the lie?
I'm going to go with Dan.
As you do. Okay, well, been interesting there, 2s and 3s. All 2s and 3s. Steve, which is the lie? 1, 2, or 3?
Well, let's put it this way. I've been lucky enough to check out a piece of the Berlin Wall in Cape Town before. Yes! Believe it or not. I've also been lucky enough to extensively select all of the amazing wine that South Africa has. At 850 kilometers, it is the longest wine route in the world. Whoa! Which means...
No way.
No cricket World Cup.
Number
Didn't
one,
realise that.
England.
That's like
England have had all three as well.
It's England, isn't it? England.
Yeah, England have had all. England have hosted the rugby, the cricket, and the.
It's no point giving the right answer at the end, Dan. You know what I mean? Retrospective.
Well, I'm appalled with my lack of knowledge, as I'm a cricketer, allegedly, in the cricketers in. This is the cricketers in. So it's honest. I won't live that down. So cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
We'll have more where we'll have one-on-one competitions about stuff about South Africa as the goes on. Sharon Jones said false, true. Well done, Sharon. Michael John says question 1 was false. Well done. Gareth Rees. I can't see if that whether that's Gareth and Di as in Mam's purse. Gareth and Di. I saw David Rees on there before, so that might be Gareth. My goggly eyes won't see. Scotty Wilson's on. It says in the lines in pink. Yeah, you can give an answer as well, mate, if you want it as a competition. Scott, there we go. Andrew King says we are drinking more wine than Adam Pissatate. I haven't even been drinking tonight. It's shocking. I need more Malbec in me. Andrew King says drinking more wine than he anticipated this evening. And Owen Thomas says nice one, enjoy. Well, there we go. It is almost that sort of bewitching time where we have to finish because we're only sort of 22 minutes over. Looking forward to next month. Mark Gardner, what have we got on show number 2? Who's on? Reveal.
Having worked with this, having seen this guy in the flesh before, and thinking he's somebody who I can never imagine even wanting to speak with. He just looks so fearful. And then getting to know this person a little bit more through his foundation. This guy is up there with one of pushing Ross for one of the world's nicest people. Okay, so the beast is coming on next month. So the last Tuesday in every month is when the Lekker Lounge is going to go out, and we're hugely excited about getting the big man on. So he's going to come on and tell us all about his foundation next month.
And there's lots more as well. But he's clearly not going to release any more. I mean, that's great. Having Beast Tandai on is who is a real gentleman as well. And talking about the work that he'll be doing on that. So more details to follow on that on the MSG Tour page. Wow, it's time to wrap it up. A huge thanks to everybody who has joined us tonight and taken the time to come on there. 1 hour, 23 minutes, and we've got to put it into a podcast and that as well. You can't say you haven't had history, culture, bit of music, education. It's been engaging. It's been enjoyable crack. And what else can we do? Another episode coming next month.
Oh my!
There you go. Keep it up there. There we go. There we go. Look. Oh, blood.
Bit of pre-tour reading, anyone?
Absolutely.
It's the partner book. So this one.
Shameless. There we go. Our blood is green and behind the dragon. There you go, Ross.
I was looking the part tonight with that as well, I think.
And there we go. Yeah, there we go. Ruth,
you two as bad as possible, right?
You crazy guys. Hey, listen, this has been the first episode of the MSG's Road to South Africa 2021 live from the MSG Lekker Lounge. The lounge where everybody is welcome, everybody's treated equally, and it's a safe haven for everybody to come leading up to the tour. And even if you go on the tour, there's going to be tons of stuff happening. If you're not, you'd be welcome to join us in the lounge there, and there'll be all sorts. There'll be match watchers where like Gogglebox meets rugby, where we'll have a bunch of people having a bit of crack watching the game if you can't, and you can be part of it. There's all sorts of things happening. There's competitions coming. There's bees coming next month. There's loads of stuff after that, and it's all going to be hosted by the great Ross HARRIES himself. So look forward to that. I can get back to producing. Mark Gardner, thank you for putting all of this together and bringing us all together, and for connecting people one person at a time through MSG Tours and the altruistic work that you do. So look forward to chatting to you again in the future. Ross, it's going to be easy to beat me tonight, mate. What are you going to do this time?
You set the stall high, but thank you for passing on the baton. And I look forward to joining you all again next time, along with the aforementioned Beast. What a coup that is.
Mr. Beast.
On the 8 Nations tour, mate, and coming up on Amazon Prime and Channel 4. which you will be anchoring. Good stuff. Danny Vaughan, very, very envious and jealous. Mate, I need to find a way to get to see my best mate in Cardiff so I can just sort of come in and then get locked in there forever.
Thank you, Joe.
Probably the wrong thing, but there we go. But we look forward. We'll be there, the Cricketers Arms.
One thing. I'm noticing here on the comments section that we may have forgotten the coffee competition earlier on.
No, what we said.
What's happening with that?
Comp. Yeah, well. Remember, there is a coffee competition. There are three bags of coffee from coffeedog.ie to give away. Go to coffeedog.ie, by the way.
There we go.
.ie, and you can order Shep's Blend, which was a blend made by the founder Johnny Fulham and named after me. There we go. Look at it. Shep's Blend. Oh, hashtag like me. Hashtag nom nom nom. Girls, calm yourselves down. There's enough of these to go around everybody. But Chef's Blend is even better. So get yourself to coffeedog.ie. What we're going to do tomorrow is we're just going to number the amount of comments we've got. So if it's 1 to sort of 3,000 comments, and then we'll get Matt Titch Davis from MSG just to pick a number out, and I'll probably just record that in the studio, and then whoever that is, I'll just go back through them. And at that given point at 0900 hours tomorrow morning, we'll pick the number and we'll contact the person and we'll send some coffee as well. Good stuff. There we go. Danny Vaughan, thanks very much, mate. Great to see you on. Steve, keep doing what you're doing. We look forward to seeing the regular updates from you, mate. And thank you for everything you're doing for the South African tourism team in the UK. Dave
Thanks so much for having me.
A real pleasure, mate, honestly. And every day's a school day and we learn so much, and that's a really, really good thing to do, mate. So stay safe and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. David Rave, keep those gang of lions in pink, because you know what you SAPA engineers are like, you know. Rugby policemen here, mate.
First, they're all over the place. Can't get hold of none of them. Andy's on a flight. Scotty's working. Stu's in the jungle somewhere. Jace Dempsey's unemployed in the South African plains, and no one knows where Heath is. Haven't heard from him for months.
There we go. They'll all be in at some point, mate. But you take care of yourself.
He will. July, August 2021. Be there.
We'll have to see what we can do. Finally, Rupert Moon. Thank you. Never change, mate. Never change. And just remind us what the book's called again.
I can't remember. Oh,
there we go. Full Moon. I only did that because
50p. Ross. 50p on eBay. It's 20 years old.
We'll see you again next month. We'll see you again next month when the great Ross Harries will be anchoring the show for us. And I'll be producing, and we'll have Mark on, we'll have the Beast on, we'll have loads more different competitions and stuff on. Until then, lads, thank you to everybody that's joined us and watched us tonight. I'm Big Joe Shep, your first host, and this is the first episode of the MSG Tours live from the MSG Lekker Lounge. Until next one, please stay safe, wash your hands, and remember, be kind to one another. We only get one life. We'll see you very, very soon. Take care.